Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome today to the review of a familiar name, but perhaps a slightly unfamiliar product. I've no doubt that you will have heard of the name Crafter Blue. Crafter Blue makes some of the best vulcanized rubber dive watch straps that money can buy. You can pick up a Crafter Blue in a bunch of different colorways for most of the current Seiko range of watches. They also just started making rubber straps for Tudor watches. They also just started making a watch of their own. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? If you're going to sell people a watch strap, you may as well sell them a watch and a watch strap. So that's what I'm going to review today, the Crafter Blue Mechanic Ocean Dive Watch. This one, two-tone grey with a matching grey Crafter Blue rubber strap. Yours for $499 US. Let's flip the camera, have a look at it. Our journey today begins with a box. Quite a nice box actually, quite simple cardboard. We've got a couple of flaps. Crafter Blue on one flap, Hong Kong on another. Always nice to see an Asian-based company taking pride in the fact that they're based in Asia. And I think they should be. This is one very well manufactured watch. So a couple of slots here. If you buy the one on the bracelet at $599, you will get the watch on the bracelet, and you will also get a color matched vulcanized rubber strap. So this one at $499 comes with a couple of different rubber straps for you to choose from. Also comes with an international 2-year warranty card, model number there, and the caliber number. Now, Crafter Blue call this a caliber 3531. I'll talk about it a little later on. Essentially, this is a worked Seiko NH35 with a little bit of decoration and some extra tweaks. I'll pop up a picture in due course. And check this thing out. It is a seriously interesting looking watch today. Not least of which because it has the crown at the 9 o'clock rather than at the more conventional position over there at the 3. We'll talk about how that impacts the way this watch wears later on. Some big chunky dimensions today, 45 millimeters in diameter, 16 mil thick. Look at this thing. This is a proper hardcore Thule divers watch today. Now 51.5 lug tip to lug tip. However, as you can see, drilled lugs bringing that inboard to about 48.5, and thanks to the curvature of the case and the tightly fitted straps, it actually wears like a smaller watch. So don't let those big dimensions put you off necessarily. It wears quite small. 22 mil lug width. Weighed up on the supplied rubber strap, this one comes in at 165 grams. So I can only imagine what it's going to be like on the bracelet. I reckon it'll hit the deuce no problem. I think you'll be looking at about 225, maybe even 230, 240 grams for this one on a bracelet. So fairly stout timepiece we're dealing with today then. Zoomed in on the dial and you can see a nice clean, just a printed dial. Indices just printed on, minute track there around the outer edge. Crafter Blue logo under the double baton at 12. We've got a single baton at 6. And just notice the HK, so rather than Swiss made either side of the index at 6, there's that little reference to Hong Kong, this watch's place of origin as well, which is nice. Date window at the 3 o'clock, and always appreciate when a company utilizes a black date wheel effectively, matches the blacked out hands. Now the hands are a little bit small, I must say. I think they could have been doing with being a little bit more prominent, but I do appreciate the fact that they're black surrounds and you've got that black lollipop. Second hand, just automatic Mechanic Ocean Professional, 300 meters there above the 6, so all nice and clean. And that Professional Divers 300 meters continues. Helium escape valve there. We've got the helium escape valve where the crown would normally be at the 3 o'clock. Case finishing is good, mixture of brushed and polished surfaces, high polish on the side of the case, little polish to the chamfered edge, brushed lugs, and that big crown. Now let me just unscrew the crown. Noticeable crown pop when I do get it unscrewed. And you got to remember, all they're doing is flipping the movement around 180 degrees. So if you want to hand wind it, you pull it towards you, as you would be doing if the watch was facing you rather than pushing it away from you as normal. But everything else just adjusts as normal. Nice big grippy crown there, definitely. Easy to grab that one, easy to screw back in there also. Bezel on this one, as you'd expect from a proper dive watch, 120 click
unidirectional rotating dive time bezel. Just an aluminium insert on this one, locks back in place nicely, no bounce on it. Once it's locked, it's pretty secure. Just aluminium though, you've got that kind of two-tone orange and grey. I think goes nicely with the colour scheme today with the strap and the dial. And it's a pretty grippy one in operation. You should be able to do that with some gloved fingers without difficulty. Quick shot of the case back. Case back rather simple. Screw down, obviously helping with the 300 meters of water resistance. What have we got in the middle today? We have got a mermaid holding a trident. I think you just chuck any 2 of 5 different references to kind of mythology in the sea and that becomes your emblem. So today it's a mermaid holding a trident. Nice clean simple case back, advertising the caliber 3531 aka the Seiko NH35. I'll pop a picture of that one up for you. They've just added their own rotor and there's a little bit of decoration here and there. It is also worked for accuracy. Now I popped this one in the winder. We've been a little bit up, we've been a little bit down, but I think the important thing is on balance just under -3 seconds per day. So a good result from one of these Seikos. An obvious choice for a proper dive watch. You don't want to be taking the back off a dive watch all that often, and a Seiko should be rugged, reliable and accurate long term. 24 joules, Hacks hand winds, 42-hour power reserve. I'm sure you've seen 1 or 2 of these before. And then there's the strap. These really are very nice. My first encounter with Crafter Blue straps, but hopefully not my last. I'm going to pick up one of these from my SKX, I'm sure, soon. So this one, bi-colour, grey at the top, orange at the bottom. So many adjustment holes on this, it's ridiculous. I guess the idea is that it'll fit your wrist if you're wearing it to the office during the week, and it'll also fit comfortably around even the thickest wetsuit or dry suit if you are taking this one into the sea properly with you at the weekends. Very nicely fitted, very, very snug and secure. Flush, looks pretty good. And you've got a couple of quality fasteners, so professional there. And this one is kind of fully brushed, again matching the majority of the watch. Crafter Blue embossed on the underside there. So how does a 45mm diameter, 60mm thick behemoth wear on my 7-inch wrist? Well, the answer is it doesn't wear too bad actually. You can see there the curvature of the lugs corresponds nicely to the curvature of my own wrist. It sits quite flush in spite of that large dimension, and the fact that the crown is on the 9 o'clock side means you don't get the fouling that you normally would with a crown this large fouling your wrist. I do wear my watches slightly further up the wrist than you may, so it's not normally an issue for me anyway, but even if you wear these quite close to the knuckle, quite close to the joint, it's not going to be an issue for you at all. And zoomed out further for your reference. Still not too bad looking this one, I must say, on wrist. You're not going to forget that you're wearing a watch, that's for sure, especially not at 165 grams, but it does better for itself than you might expect it to. And there we are, out and about in a slightly cloudy Sydney day. What's going on is summer over already. Kind of a boxed domed sapphire crystal covering the dial. I'm not sure how much AR coating there is on that one, but enough that those black hands are still pretty legible. And as discussed, in spite of the big dimensions, the curved lugs, nice relatively compact lug tip to lug tip of 48 if you take it from the drilled lugs, means that it wears better than you'd expect from a big boy. So what am I going to complain about today then? What are my moans and niggles with this one? Well, I haven't put the loom video up yet, so I'll do that right now. I'm slightly conflicted by the loom. BGW9 Superluminova, so you get that ice blue colour. It does hang on in there as well, but it is slightly underwhelming. And perhaps I'm spoiled, I'm used to watches with loomed ceramic bezel inserts. If this is a hardcore diver, perhaps a little bit more loom everywhere, a little bit more real estate on the dial and more on the bezel insert would have been good. The loom's okay, but it's perhaps not outstanding. And the dial itself, the hands, as I mentioned earlier on, I find them just a little bit small. It reminds me, if you're ready for a slightly bizarre analogy, it reminds me of one of these guys that goes to the gym so often that their head becomes too small for their body. It's this big 45mm big chunky bezel, and then it gradually gets smaller and smaller, and there's quite a dainty and delicate handset on top. I could have done with some plongeur hands perhaps if this is a hardcore dive watch, plongeurs to make it even easier to read, and that would have given a bit more real estate for the loom. And then there's the value equation. So $4.99 as it stands on a couple of rubber straps. What do we think of the value? I don't think it's a bad package overall. I'm trying to think, what would you be buying if you weren't buying this one but wanted a similar effect? You could pay $350 for a Seiko Samurai and then buy a couple of Crafter blue straps to go with it, and there you are, you're looking at close to $500, and you're not getting sapphire on a Samurai. You're not getting this big chunky opposite crown as well. So I don't think it's the deal of the century. Obviously, if it was a little bit cheaper, it would be getting extra points from the rather hard to please Scottish judge, but I don't think $4.99 is out of the ordinary for a watch that's as nicely manufactured and a little bit unusual as this one. So then my first experience of Crafter Blue, not quite the medium through which I thought I would be first experiencing the company, but there you go. The strap is fantastic, by the way. Highly recommend these if you already have a Seiko dive watch or similar and want to pick up a very nicely fitted rubber strap. Even smells good, it's got this lovely vanilla smell to it. And good on them for manufacturing their own watch and being proud of its Asian origins too. Couple of tweaks, I reckon they'd have a real winner on their hands with this one.
So there you have it, the Crafter Blue Mechanic Ocean then. Certainly an interesting proposition, and you can totally understand why a company that sold straps would branch out into selling watches as well. And it kind of makes a lot of sense. Rather than buying a Seiko and buying a Crafter Blue strap for it, you buy a Seiko powered Crafter Blue watch with a Crafter Blue strap already attached. And my goodness, is the strap a cracker or what? It even smells great. I'll definitely be picking one of these up from my SKX shortly. The watch itself, I thought it was very, very well manufactured. A real kind of hardcore tool watch. Big, thick, domed piece of sapphire crystal, helium escape valve, and that enormous crown set away from the wrist so it doesn't get in your way if you are actually diving. I just wish it had a bit more loom on the dial and the bezel, and those hands could have been a bit more prominent in my opinion. But all in all, not a bad bundle if you're looking for a hardcore dive watch. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.